The thing that pisses me off the most is when people say, that's science. Science says. Science, that's like science as a religion. That irritates me. People should be way more specific, okay? Science is like a discipline. It doesn't say anything.
Scary, yeah. I mean, because the water is so destructive. I'm not telling you guys who are living through it, but the water, we think water is what gives us life, is what sustains us. That's true. But too much of this good thing is deadly.
And, Florida Governor Ronda Sanz, he's been pushing back on the climate's role in these stronger storms. Let's take a listen to that, talk about it.
I just think people should put this in perspective. They try to take different things that happen with tropical weather and act like it's something. There's nothing new under the sun. This is something that the state has dealt with for its entire history. And it's something that we'll continue to deal with. I think what's changed is we've got 23 million people.
Yeah, Bill, what do you have to say to that? I mean, we could just show our viewers, and they can look this up on their own, that, the frequency of these powerful hurricanes has picked up over the last couple of decades. Well,
absolutely. The other thing is, objectively, the water in the Gulf is warmer than it's ever been. And so this is what the word everybody throws around is fuels hurricanes. But this provides the energy that allows the relatively cool air to squeeze the warm air up, which starts these enormous storms becoming wider and wider. And then the spin of the Earth and gravity of the Earth causes the storm to spin. And that's what makes these extraordinary seawalls, extraordinary waves of water, storm surges, come ashore on the.
What we should do, you see how a tree is? Look at this tree. It pulls up all the ground right there. It's because the roots are spreading out. We should force the trees to dig their roots deeper. All right? Because this is ruining this guy's lawn, dude.
Waves of water, storm surges, come ashore on the southeast part of the storm and then pull water out of the Tampa Bay on the northwestern side. And this is very well understood. And this is a result of satellite imagery and ground-based assets that enable us to monitor these things. And so everybody, it's very serious. It's going to get more and more serious. And of course, we, as citizens of the U.S., will work to help people who are affected by this storm in Florida, North Carolina, and so on. And our hearts go out to you. But we've got to face this problem. And so everybody, that's what I'm saying right now. What can you do about climate change if you're not there, if you're anywhere, is vote. Vote with the climate in mind.
And Bill, I do want to ask you about, you don't want to give crazy things too much oxygen, but you also have to knock things down that aren't true when they're gaining steam. And Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Greene, she is standing by these crazy claims that the government can control the weather, which we know is not true. But as a scientist, can you help us understand why that is?
The idea, I didn't get into an argument. People got into an argument on my post on Twitter about this. Like, nobody disagrees that like cloud seeding is a thing. We don't have the capability to make hurricanes. Why do like centristy people, I'm going to call him out, all right? Tyler, average debate enjoyer that's on Wix all the time, all right? I like him, all right? I think he's a fun dude to talk to. I think he's a nice dude. And I think that he's honest in what he believes, right? So I can respect that. But Jesus Christ, the false equivalency of saying that Democrats lie about things too, when we're talking about space lasers, when we're talking about space lasers, when we're talking about how the government can create hurricanes to target Republican states. I'm sorry, but has anybody noticed? Here, we'll just go to 270 to win again. Has anybody noticed that like the entire Gulf Coast, which is where hurricanes hit in the United States, everywhere that a hurricane would hit in the United States is Republican. Wait, we don't have space lasers? We're working on it, Jenny, okay? We're working on it. Like, unless it's like the government forcing all the conservatives to move down here so then they can then laser up a storm to hit them with, I don't think I think it's just like Republicans live in the places where hurricanes hit. Sorry, if you don't want to believe in climate change, fine. It's kind of unusual this topic is even given any attention. Well, it's Republican lawmakers that say this shit. Like, I agree. It is unusual this topic is even given this much attention. But unfortunately, we have elected lawmakers at the federal level that are Republicans that not only deny climate change, but they also think that the government is like, even though they would probably have some kind of insight into like, funding that goes into a space laser in the sky that can control the weather, right? I feel like Congress would have to approve some amount of money that would go into a project that huge. There's no way that anyone could hide that level of funding going into something. Just like it's people like Marjorie Taylor Greene. Like, if you're a conservative, you can't blame Democrat alarmism. Oh, we're just taking people out of context. Like, Marjorie Taylor Greene is saying these things out loud, and then other people are, all right, you're here, thank God, so I can play the game. It is the Republican Party's fault that this topic is given attention.
False. And I know it just sounds ridiculous for me to even ask the question.
I'm sorry. No, I'm not going to get one guy by the most statement of all time.
But help us out.
Well, it's false because of the size of it. The amount of energy in a storm like Milton is more than every military in the world put together at the same time. It's just, the expression is physically impossible. And this is intuitive. This is Samuel Clemens, Mark Twain. Everybody talks about the weather. Nobody does anything about it. But we have a chance to do something about it. And what's happened is, here in the United States, we have created these gerrymandered congressional districts.
See, this is where Mr. Scientist gets into politics and gerrymandering, and nobody knows anything. Nobody knows anything about gerrymandering. I thought you worked 3 to 8. Well, I usually do, but today is Columbus Day, so kids aren't in school, and I'm a tutor, so.
Where people who do not win the popular vote, have fewer votes, are able to get elected. And by promulgating these extraordinary, this misinformation, they're able to get reelected, and it plays on people's grievances and frustrations. And I understand that, but we got to turn this around. It's going to take quite a while, but we've got to turn it around. It's in everybody's best interest. And I remind people that when we're talking about disasters like this and the millions of people affected, the United States is the world's 3rd most populous country. We have 1/3 of a billion people here. And so we have to work together to help each other out. This sounds intuitive, but it's a real thing.
During the math right now.
The government does not. I have to go, but during the break, you and I talk about how we have ties to the D.C. area and everything. And what I know from growing up is that there are a lot of wonderful people who work in the government, and they just would not do things like that to harm their fellow Americans. But anyway, I'll get off my soapbox. Go to a break. Bill, we'll stick to the science.
Well, people talk about, speaking of science, people talk about what makes you happy, what makes you live a long life. And it's when you're contributing, when you're helping people out, so-called egalitarian and so on. And so people who work in the government, civil servants, what the other side refers to as the deep state, they do it not for the money, they do it because it gives them satisfaction to make the world better. All right, back.
Exactly.
Everybody, please vote. If you know young people, please get out the vote. Let's do this. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks a lot.